So today I am going to try and make my own version of one of my favorite YouTubers, Corporal Kelly. One of his fishing setups called the Hobo rod. And I'm going to try a number of different things. So I've got a few things I've got to put together. This is a container for some putty that I've used up, so that will be the bit that holds my floats, my hooks and my sinkers. And then I will build or carve. I've got a piece of cherry wood here. I will carve a bit that fits inside here, I think, where the actual line goes on. So stay tuned, let's see how this goes. I'm going to be using whatever I can find around the house. I've got a pair of my son's shoes which he's worn through, and I believe this will make a very decent float. So I've cut a piece off this bit here, and I'll cut this bit out of that, and basically I'm just going to shape it a bit. And then I'm going to use this as a float. Now, bearing in mind this is all still in the experimental stage, but my thoughts are, if I cut a little slit there, and I cut another little slit over here, theoretically I should be able to just pop my fishing line through that and through there, and that should float, I hope. So I will try a number of different variations of this to see how well they work. I've chosen a piece of wood that's dry already, so hopefully there won't be any more shrinkage on it. And the idea is to cut this down so it actually fits in here nice and snugly. Okay, so this will be the bit that goes on here. Let's see how it fits. That's nice and tight. So this will be the part that holds my tackle. So I'll have floats, hooks and weights in here. And this will be the bit where my fishing line is attached, and that will be the bit that I cast with. So, Corporal Kelly, let's see how this goes. Okay, so now I've started with my stop cuts. The reason I put these stop cuts in is so that when I start cutting out this bit here, I don't go over, and this will help me stop in the right place. Bearing in mind this is the first time I've ever done this, so we'll see how this goes. That's going well. Starting to get there now. So that'll be the bit where my fishing line goes on. So once I've finished smoothing this down, I'll probably saw it off around there and then put my 45-degree angle on. This needs to go down quite a bit more so I get a nice angle. Okay, so I think I'm happy with this. Now it's a case of cutting it around there, I should imagine. So I'll take about that much off. And then putting a 45-degree angle on this bit so that you can cast the line from here in that direction. So my hobo fishing rig's almost finished. This will be the bit that goes in here. This will be the bit where my line goes on. And now I've got to shape this in a 45-degree angle so that when I cast it, the line will come off it easily. So that's my next job, is to start cutting a 45-degree angle into this. Okay, so here it is. I've put the 45-degree angle on it. I'm thinking I might take a little bit more off here, just so there's not so much of a lip on it. But I think even with that much on there, it still should cast pretty well. So now it's just a case of putting the whole thing together. That fits nice and tight. So inside there will be my float. Oh, I haven't shown you my float. So the final design for the float, I think what I've done is just use a toothpick and made some holes in there and just threaded the line through it, and it's on pretty tight, so wherever you pull your float to is where it should stay. And that's made from my son's Crocs, which he's grown out of, so I don't think he's going to mind. So I've attached my line, and now it's time to wind it on. I've done about 10 meters of fishing line, wild guess. I'm winding it on nice and tight. Okay, so I'm getting to the end of the line now, and I'm thinking the best way to keep that all together is to actually take this off. Drop this in. Pop it back together. And that's it. Well, I think I might pop a bit of tape or even a bit of bicycle tube on. Actually, just twisting that tightens it up nicely. I'll see how it travels. But that looks like it's not going anywhere. And then of course I've got some hooks which I will pop in here And I'm going to make a few more floats and put some weights in. And that's it, my Hobo fishing rod. Done and dusted. Right, to make my floats, I've pushed a toothpick through and grab some fishing line. Blind as a bat as well, so let's see if this works. There you go. Another toothpick through the other side. Pop it out. And there we go. So it holds it pretty steady. So what I'm going to do now is pop a little weight on. Let's have a look and see how this will go. Put one of my heavies on first, I think. That's like a BB size, I think. Pop that on here. There we go. Okay, so let's see how this works. Right, here I have a tub of water. And here's my float with weight on. Let's see how it works. Yep, it's floating, but I think it needs to be a bit bigger, or the weight needs to be a bit smaller. So, learning curve. Watch this space. It has occurred to me that if I put the hole halfway down my float, it might give me more bit that actually sticks up out of the water. So I'm going to try that first before I make a new float or bigger float. That's what experimenting is all about anyway, isn't it? So let's have a look, see how this goes. So I'm putting it through halfway. Okay, so there it is. There's the weight. And the float, halfway now. So fingers crossed, let's see how this works. Nope, definitely need a bigger float. Okay, so this time I've made a bigger float. That's the one from before. That's the one now. And I've only put one hole in it. And having tested it already, it works spot on. Have a look at this. Floating really nicely, no problem. I'd say that's a winner. Here we have the finished product. Pops off the end very nicely as well, by the way. Float, weight, and hook. All of that goes in there. Okay, so once that's all inside, just pop this in. Give it a twist to tighten it up over there. And there it is. As Corporal Kelly says, good to go. So there we go, my Hobo fishing rod.